The popular and sometimes controversial hip-hop magazine XXL has become the topic of discussion once again on social media. Is it for a good reason? Absolutely not. Most recent XXL freshman list has dropped, and a lot of people seem to have an opinion about it. The predominant one being that XXL lists within the past few years have fallen off massively. Where once they contained big-name artists, causing massive excitement, many have taken issue with the fact that the stars on the list have become less and less recognizable each year. Is that really such a bad thing, though? I mean, the main issue people seem to have with XXL is with the freshmen selected for the cover, but at the same time, who really is out there for them to pick from? I mean, just take a look at the list for yourself. The only names on here that stand out to me are Finesse 2Time, Glorilla, Lil Tyler, and Central C. With Finesse, Glorilla, and Lil Tyler, I've listened to maybe a snippet of each of their music, and I only know Central C because he called Doja Cat gay, so... And honestly, he's a big enough star in the UK that he probably shouldn't be considered a freshman and should probably have his own dedicated cover, but I guess this helps with the US-UK hip-hop relations, so who am I to judge? The rest of the list, though, they are people I haven't really heard of at all. They haven't been on any of the playlists I frequent or mentioned on anywhere that I typically go to, which, in comparison to some of the more legendary lists, like in 2016 that had Lil Yachty, Denzel, Kodak, Uzi, Savage, and so on, or another great list like the 2019 one that featured Roddy Ricch, Meg Thee Stallion, Cordae, DaBaby, and of course YK Osiris, the landscape of the freshman list is definitely different now. But I asked if that should be considered a bad thing. Yes and no. On one hand, it showcases a deeper lying and broader issue with the music industry as a whole that is much bigger than XXL. We're entering an era where big stars are contemplating their retirement from the music industry. So where are the new stars that are coming to take their place and take music in a new direction? Well, I mean, they don't really exist. Music consumers have become ADHD-riddled messes where they can't focus on an artist for more than a few songs without getting bored and going back to the same generic and established brand of music. The same people who flame XXL for having a weak freshman list don't seem to realize that the reason for that is self-inflicted. I mean, if you really think about it, Kendrick Lamar was on a freshman list. Do you not think that if there was a popping artist right now that was big enough to be featured on the list, that XXL wouldn't be capable of getting them to be on their cover? If you think not, you might be slightly delusional. I mean, hip-hop is in such a sorry state that people were touting Blueface as being the next big thing in hip-hop because he raps off beat. I don't even want to go into the details of his situation right now. New artists don't seem capable of holding on to or gaining enough momentum to establish the same amount of success as previous generations of artists. So how can you fix this? Probably by getting rid of the internet. In all honesty, I don't think there's actually a full fix for this. However, there are patches, and I feel like XXL itself might actually be part of the solution. Now, the whole idea of the XXL freshman list is to get freshmen in the rap game to be able to get published on an exclusive list of upcoming artists. It is not only a list to showcase recognition for existing work, but it's also to give young artists a platform for future growth by having an accolade placed next to their name from an established brand. Before the most recent lists, many accused XXL of just making lists that were popularity contests instead of including artists that were actually making quality music and that were more deserving of a platform so that their music can live outside of a niche subgroup of listeners. Due to the lack of highly streamable new talent, XXL are almost forced to give a platform to these artists that are more focused on quality projects, as there aren't enough popping artists for them to fill a 10-person list on their own. If the likes of the Drakes and the Coles and the Kendricks do end up retiring, media like the XXL freshman list is going to gain a whole lot more power than it previously had to dictate the shape of music in the future. People love to be spoon-fed information and opinions. It's the reason why music reviewers are so popular, and XXL is considered to be an established and trusted brand. So best believe when people are struggling to find new music to listen to, they will flip through the freshman list to find said music and act as if they stumbled across it by chance. It may not be happening now, but with the void that will be created in the near future, it will eventually become a reality. And hopefully due to this void, it will help to create the circulation of not just mediocre pop rap artists, but artists with real substantive and distinctive music that will be able to garner new support through recognition given to them by media providers like XXL. Because at the end of the day, that's the whole point of creating a freshman list, or any upcoming rappers list, to give those who truly deserve it a chance to shine. If lists like the one created by XXL were fully focused on quality, it would push the creative limits of new artists so that they can get the recognition that they are so often vying for, which may once again reshape the current sound of hip-hop. And for me, that's a really exciting prospect. The XXL freshman list as we know it currently may be dead, but it definitely still has the opportunity to be reborn into something that was much better than it ever was. And hopefully that becomes a reality. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck listening to AI and Nav for the rest of eternity. And that doesn't sound too great. So, yeah, here's hoping. Okay, bye.